let me share my screen now. Yeah, I think now my screen is visible to all of you, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now in the last class we were discussing about I think the avalanche, right? So we covered the landslide, then the about the recent earthquakes that happened, that has shaken the earth, right? The Haiti earthquake, Sulawesi earthquake, Lombok earthquake, and Nepal earthquake, Tohoku earthquake, earthquake and tsunami, which occurred in 2011, right? So and the Haiti earthquake of 2010. Next, we covered the landslide. So let's start with the avalanche, right? So now, avalanche, these are basically the natural phenomena that can occur when the masses of snow and ice they slide down, and often they are destructive in their nature, right? And how these avalanches they can be triggered. So basically, the avalanches can be triggered due to heavy snowfall. So heavy snowfall can increase the weight of the snowpack, and these will again result in destabilizing it, and this leads to avalanches. Apart from that, if there is a change in temperature, then the rapid change in temperature or fluctuations they can have a freezing and thawing effect. Means freezing and defreezing due to the change in temperature will happen, and due to this the snowpack they will there will be a weakening of the snowpack and it will cause an collapse. Apart from that, winds, rainfalls, and slope angle of the terrain they can cause the avalanches, or they can trigger the avalanches, right? Next, let's go to the classification. So, how the avalanches have been classified? So they are classified on into different types. So the first type is slab avalanche. The next one is loose slow avalanche. The third one is west slow avalanche, and the fourth one is the powdered snow avalanche. Right now, let's go one by one for these four types. So how the slab avalanche occurs? So these occur when a cohesive layer of snow they break away and slides into the weaker layer below, right? And they often are the most dangerous and destructive type of avalanche. Next, we have the loose snow avalanche. So in these avalanche, so these involve unconsolidated dry snow that flows like a liquid, and it flows down a slope. Okay, so this is the second type of avalanche which we have. The third one is wet snow avalanche. So here these avalanches cause occur in the snowpacks when they become saturated with water. When the amount of water in the avalanche it goes beyond certain limit, or it crosses the saturation, or it becomes saturated with water, then we have this avalanche. And here basically this the water which enters into the snowpack, it generally weakens the strength and stability, right? And they often happen or when there will be a rainfall during the winter season. So often they occur during or the after a rainfall, or if any warm weather happened in any particular place, right? In the basically the snow near the snow peak mountains, these kind of things may happen, right? Next one is the powder avalanche. So as the name suggests, so these avalanche they involve light and dry snow, and these flow like a powder down the slope. This may be triggered due to any human activity, or it may be occurred due to winds or any explosions which happened nearby, right? So these are the different four classifications of avalanche we have. So what we learned here, so we learned about the classification of avalanche. So the first one is slab avalanche. Next one loose snow avalanche, wet snow avalanche, and powder snow avalanches, right? Now let's understand the triggers. So what are the triggers? So basically, if it is a natural trigger, then it may be triggered due to heavy rainfall or snow, right? So intense precipitation, whether in the form of rainfall or snowfall, these can increase the weight of the snowpack, and this will result in the reduction of the stability. So the added load, they can exceed the strength of snow layers, leading to an avalanche. So as suppose if the weight of the snowpack is not withheld by the cohesive forces in between the snow, then there is a chance of avalanche. Next, if there is a sudden rise in temperature, right? So we all know that globally we have a global situation of global warming, so the temperature of the surroundings, it is increasing day by day, right? So this can also cause the snow melt, and due to this there is a chance of avalanche. Now why this occurs? Because these can weaken the strength of the snowpack, right? And as the temperature increases, the water in the snowpack, they may melt, and these increase in water levels can weaken the strength of the snowpacks, right? Next, if there is any ice fall is there, or there is a gradual sometimes there is a gradual development of cracks and fractures that happen in the snowpacks, okay, over a period of time. So see, the impact of rocks or ice falling onto the snowpack can create disturbance that creates avalanche, right? And the over a period of time, despite the constant temperature and pressure, the cracks can develop, as a result of which the snowpack will gradually uh, uh, f- go will draw down a creep, and these weakens the snowpacks at a later stage, which causes the avalanche. Apart from the natural triggers, we have human activity as well, so that we classify under the human triggers, right? Now what is skiing? What is ice skiing? Can anyone tell me what is skiing or ice skiing from the audience?
Sir, it's a type of a sport, sir.
Yeah, it is a type of sports. Generally people
We
will,
slide on ice.
yeah, so we'll be sliding on the ice with the help of slides. Okay, so those will be fixed in our feet, and we'll be having some iron rods which will help us in balancing ourselves, right? So these skiers, so the people who do skiing, that we call it as skiers, right? So skiers can inadvertently trigger avalanche, right? So they didn't do it purposefully, but over the period of time it may trigger the avalanche. And this, how it happens? So our weight transfers to the snowpack, and the stress which develops in that causes the weakening of the snowpack while navigating at steep slopes. When we will be going through steep slopes, the stress which is developed in between the ice and our this slides or skiers, that causes a fracture, right? So the weight and movement of skiers can cause fractures, and these initiate the initial release of the slab avalanche, right? Next, we have engineered explosions, right? Now what is engineered explosion? So engineered explosion is, these are the controlled explosions which we human beings we do in order to achieve something, right? So the controlled explosions, such as those in average control measures, they can also trigger avalanches, thereby generating a shock wave. What is a shock wave? Can anyone tell what is a shock wave? What is
Sudden change in sir pressure.
sudden change in pressure or the wave? It is basically the wave form which travels when we have a certain kind of explosion or disturbance is there in the earth, right? Okay, on the earth surface also. So these develop, or these basically disrupt the stability of the snowpack, right? next, what are snowmobiles? What are snowmobiles? In Nat you might have seen that there will be some people who will be driving some vehicle kind of thing over the snow, right? So basically, in just see in river and in river and ocean, we use the speedboats kind of thing. So there's similar kind of thing, but they travel or they move on snow, right? So those we call it as snowmobiles, right? So the movement of snowmobiles on steep slopes, they can also increase or impose the stress on the snowpack, and these potentially trigger the avalanche. Now why these trigger the avalanche? Because due to the movement there will be vibrations and weight distribution, which may lead to the failure of the snow layers, right? Let's see the next one. Next we have is the what are the effects and safety measures that we should follow in the avalanche, right? Now see, these avalanche, when it occurs, see, you just imagine that suppose there is a snow peak mountain, and we have some houses here nearby, near the hill. Suppose in a snow peak mountain there are houses here, for example. Now see, once the avalanche starts from here, as it grows, comes down, it has got enormous potential to submerge whatever is there in front of it, whether it is a house, whether it is vegetation, whether it is trees, plants, human beings. It doesn't care anything, right? So it has could be a potential to engulf everything into it. Okay, so now if a human comes in avalanche, then there is almost a very high chance that that person will die under the ice, because he or she won't be able to breathe it, right? So now, so these that's why they so the avalanche can damage, destroy roads, buildings, bridges, and any other structures that are there in their path. And it also poses a life threat, a threat to the human life. So avalanche poses significantly high risk to the people in the mountain region, especially the skiers and the hikers and the residents of this avalanche prone areas, right? Next, what may happen? It may also disrupt the transportation. So how it will disrupt the transportation? Now just imagine that, suppose where that avalanche happened, it has affected the road leading to it, right? So these can block the roads, they can block railways, and these will lead to disruption in the transportation. So it means that that area will be cut off from the main city, right? Or the communities which are staying near that locality, right? What else it affects? It also impacts the ecosystem. Now, how the ecosystem is impacting, or the avalanche is impacting the ecosystem? See, this avalanche, they can cause habitat destruction, and they can affect the wildlife populations as well in mountainous regions, right? And they can make economic losses also. Now, what do you understand by economic losses? How economic losses will happen if there is a case of avalanche? Can anyone tell?
Sir, it can break the road, it can break the bridges, it
Yes,
can
yes,
cut the towers, sir,
yes, yes,
transmission lines, sir.
yes. Good. So avalanche, these basically can damage the human population nearby. It can damage the roads, the buildings which are there nearby near that area. And in order to again repair them and reconstruct them, again it takes time and money, right? So that's why the avalanche can cause economic losses as well, right? Next, what are the safety measures and precautions which we should take for in order, so that the avalanche won't be able to make that heavy destruction? So first we can have is we can have a forecasting and monitoring system, just like our weather app, or weather for web forecast weather forecasting and monitoring. We should have one dedicated organization that and experts that provide forecast and warnings to help the individuals who are staying near the avalanche prone areas. Apart from that, we can assess the snowpack. So assess snowpack assessment. So professionals that analyze the or that assess the stability and conditions of the snowpack that should also be taken care of. Next, avalanche control should be there. So how we can control the avalanche, such as if see, if we find that okay, there is a chance of avalanche, so before it happens, we can make some controlled explosions, so that, or we can make some snow barriers as well. So through these, we can also either trigger or control the avalanche that are supposed to happen, right? So these will help in reducing the uncontrolled events, right? See, now let's talk about any cyclone or any kind of situation which arises in Odisha, in the coast of Odisha during monsoons or cyclones, right? So what government does? So the government will first, it will tell the fishermen not to go deep inside for fishing at certain point during or before the cyclone happens, right? And if there are there will be some people who will be in the low lying areas, then they will be evacuated and they will be taken to the cyclone rescue centers, right? So like this, so just like we control the situation in the case of cyclones and all, the same kind of thing we can adopt for controlling the avalanche, right? Apart from that, the best thing is we need to educate and aware the people, right? So that point it says education and awareness. So public education programs raise awareness about the avalanche safety. It also includes the equipping the people with proper equipments. Travel techniques means how this mountaineers and all, how they are going to travel, how, what are the travel techniques they should follow when they are trekking through the snow-capped mountains. That is to be there. Apart from that, they should be guided in making on decision making in the during the when they are traveling from the avalanche terrain. That can be done, right? Now, in the case of prevention, basically there are two techniques. The first technique we call it as active technique, and the second technique we call it as the passive technique, right? Now avalanche can be prevented to a certain extent due to various techniques and structure. So what are these methods? So as I said, these methods are, the first one is active technique and the second one is passive technique. In active techniques, what we do, we deliberately disturb the snow by using some explosives. Means we'll be carrying out controlled explosions, so that the some portion, so means when we suppose we think that some portion of this snow capped mountain is going to slide down as an avalanche. So what we will do, we will place small amount of explosions and then we will trigger them. So triggering, so what will happen, so triggering small artificial avalanche will be less harmful than the actual avalanche, right? Okay. Apart from that, what are the passive techniques? So the passive techniques are in, so what we will do, we will be creating structures which will stop or which will slow down the speed of avalanche, right? Now suppose, let us understand this. For example, here we have a snow peak mountain, right? And so we know that as the suppose if there is an avalanche, so by the time it starts rolling down, then catch it catches the higher speed. So what we can do here, we can, so in this area we can create ice retention or snow retention structures, we can create. So building structures to slow down, stop, or divert, or block the snow movement, that we can do. So we can also create, or we can also create snow retention structures, avalanche barriers, and snow fences and snow nets, which will eventually reduce the speed of avalanche or the destructive force of the avalanche. And we can do the redistribution like structures like wind waffles, breakers, like that. Apart from that, we can place direct protection of objects using snow sheds and avalanche sheds, right? So these kind of structures we can create in order to prevent the avalanche from happening, right? Now, next disaster is volcanic eruption. So, before I go to this topic, let me ask one question. What do you understand? What is a volcanic eruption? What do you understand by volcanic eruption?
Sir, the lava that is underneath the ground, it comes with great pressure and great heat, and comes to the surface and falls.
Falls on the
So
surface.
this
Okay.
create yes, sir. So this creates loss of life and property
Yeah. Yeah.
in,
So,
in surrounding areas.
yeah. So we all know that a million years ago, this our Earth it was a it was in molten state, right? Now, as the time passed by, it cooled down, right? Now, the surface of the Earth it has cooled down, and on that, we, the human beings, have evolved over the period of time, right? Now, still, the core of the earth is in not only the core, there are many parts of the earth which are in molten state, that we call it as the core of the earth. Now, due to this disturbance movement of tectonic plates and all, that creates earthquake. And if there is a change in the movement of the tectonic plates, then there is a slight rupture on the earth, below the earth surface, and due to this there is the lava which is or the molten earth material which is there inside, it comes out, right? So an opening on the surface of the earth that allows the lava, the volcanic ash and the gases to escape from its lava chamber below the surface is called as a volcano, right? Now you might have seen in Adjo that there will be these kind of hills and all. Over this will be having a hole, and through this the basically the lava and or the magma and ash, they will be coming out, right? And it goes out and it falls after following a projectile motion at some point of the time, right? So the sudden occurrence of violent discharge of steam volcanic material from a volcano is called the volcanic eruption, right? Now, basically, there are three main types of volcanic eruption. So, the first one is magmatic eruption, the second one is phreatic eruption, and along with this, we have another phreatic eruption which has the superheating and steam, right? Next, we have explosive eruptions and effusive eruptions. What are these? So magmatic eruption is it is basically the decompression gas within the magma that propels it forward, right? So inside it, not only the magma will be there, along with that very decompressed air will be compressed air will be there, and it will pressure it out, or it will yeah, keep it forward to come out, right? Now, what is phreatic magma? So here the compression of gas within the magma, these drives the eruption, and again in that we have a superheating steam which comes via in contact with the magma, it causes the eruption. So these are the first three types of eruptions which we have. Next one is explosive and effusive. In explosive, we have gas-driven explosions that that propel the magma and the tephra here, and effusive eruption. So here the lava outflow is in a significant amount with explosive activity, right? So next, let's understand how these volcanic eruptions they pose as a threat, right? Now the emissions, they have gases like carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide and hydrogen sulfide, which are very toxic in nature, right? They can also evoke or create acid rains, and they may turn up as a poison to the livestock. What is livestock? What do you understand by livestock?
Cows, horses.
Yeah, basically the cattle which we have, the animals, the pet animals which we have, right? And what else these does? So in volcanic eruption there will be lava flow. The lava will be very high in temperature, and whichever it touches, it burns it, right? So the lava flows, which are molten rocks, basically they can burn everything that comes in their path. Now, if there is a pyroclastic flow, now what do you understand by pyroclastic? So the term pyroclastic is derived from the Greek word pyro, which means fire, and klastos, which means broken or fragmented, right? So it is basically the fragmented flow of the molten or any broken earth, right? And these in high speed they can, and they will have hot ash in that one. So rock fragments will be there, gases will be there, which can cause devastating destructions, which comes in their way, or it also can cause very or very high explosions during the uh, volcanic eruption, right? Now these volcanic, see, we all know that whenever there is a damage is there in the earth, then there will be having some after effects of that, or there will be some other effects that will be related to it. Now it may also create earthquakes, it may create landslides, it may create mudslides as well, right? So this can happen just after the any volcanic activity, or even during the volcanic activity also. The vibrations which are created during this volcanic eruption, they can also tend to create earthquakes, landslides, and they can also trigger the mudslides as well, right? Now mud flow, these also called, these are also called as lahars, we call it LHARS, lahars we call it. And these happen when the molten magma, molten magma, it flows with water, right? So that we call it as the pyroclastic flow, right? So when it mixes with water, that we call it as the pyroclastic flow, right? Now, these are some of the significant earthquakes which happened, and they have created serious damage to it, right? So these are very old ones, right? So if you want, you can go through the you can Google what are the most new or recent significant earthquakes which we have, right, and how they are causing the casualties to it, right? These are some more, right? So the Mount Pinatubo, and it happened in Philippines. So almost approximately 847 people died. In 2010 we had an we had an volcanic eruption in Iceland. Next we have Mount Merapi in 2010. Again it happened in Indonesia. Next we had one in Chile and another one in the Hawaii Islands of USA, right? It was in 2018, right? Next we have is heat waves and cold waves. Now can anyone tell, have you heard about heat waves and cold waves? What are heat waves and cold waves?
Heat waves are basically loop. Uh,
Yeah, so heat waves are basically the these are not basically low. So these are the times when the temperature it goes very high, and due to this the there will be heat waves which will propagate, and these will kill the people, right? It kills humans, it kills vegetation, it kills the cattle as well, right? So these whole heat waves and cold waves, they have a prolonged period of extreme weather conditions, right? Now suppose if the heat goes on for a period of or it exceeds certain duration, then we have the heat wave and cold wave, right? So heat waves, these cause significant damage by and how they create significant damage. They damage to our crops, they damage or they result in power outages, and they also result in health risks as well, right? So during the summers, you might have seen that a lot of people, they will be admitted in hospital, and even some, there are some cases that people lost their lives also, right, due to the sunstroke and all. Similarly, so in winters and all, we have the cold waves, right? In Hindi, we call it as Sheet Lahar, right? So it is basically the cold waves that can lead to the extreme cold temperatures, and these affect the infrastructure as well as human beings and animals as well, right? Now let's understand what is this definition of heat wave. So basically, heat waves are the periods of excessively hot weather, and these are accompanied by high humidity, right? So so you just understand during that time, in when there will be a very high humidity, then even if we will be feeling hot, we will be sweating. That sweat will not be dried, right? So that a lot of people get irritated to that as well, right? And there is no, basically there is no universal definition for that, right? And it all varies from place to place, and it all varies from normal climatic conditions as well, right? Now, just like the WHO, World Health Organization, we have World Meteorological Organization that stands. So it stands for WMO, and it suggests a definition that a consecutive days with temperature exceeding the average maximum by 5 degrees. Right? Suppose let us say the average is 35, and consecutively suppose if crosses by a maximum of 5 degree centigrade, then we call it as there is okay, the heat wave is going, or it is happening now, right? So this is according to, so what is the organization which is monitoring all these things? That is
World.
World Meteorological Organization, right? So just like World Health Organization, which takes care of our health and all, which monitors the health of the people in the throughout the globe, we have the World Meteorological Organization, WMO, right? And what are the causes and factors of this heat wave? So they can result due to high pressure, they can result due to lack of rain and cloudless conditions in warm climates, right? See, there was one phenomenon that occurred in El Nino and La Nina. Okay, you can search in Google where are these locations and all, or what is that weather phenomenon, and these have scientists have found that these influence the heat wave occurrence. Apart from that, the heat wave occurrence, it also happens near the desert areas, right? So desert areas and regions with low humidity are susceptible to extreme heat conditions, right? So what are the impacts of heat? See, there will be first one, there will be psychological and physical stress on the individuals, right? Next we can have, so these so the heat waves, they can increase the deaths related to the heat related deaths, and power outage will be there. What is power outage? What is
power failure.
power failure? Yes, so you might have seen that during the summer and all, due to excessive consumption and demand of heat, we will be having power outage, right? So whatever power that is being generated, that is not sufficient for the human use during summer season, right? So that due to that, we do generally have power outage. Apart from that, these heat waves, they can cause wildfires due to the drought condition, and they can also damage the forest and the flora and fauna. Flora means the basically the plant species, and fauna means basically the animal species that is habituated in an area, and it also affects the agricultural land as well, right? So there will be cracks in the soil, and the fertility of the soil also goes very down due to this. Apart from that, it may also damage to the road infrastructure failures, bursting of water lines, and transformer detonations may also occur. Now you might have seen that in national highway, in when you'll be going through a national highway, some portion of the this tarmac could have settled down, and you can see the marks of the tires as well. Tires, have you seen marks of the tire as well, right?
Yes,
Yeah, so those will be happening due to this extreme heat conditions, right? So see, this tar which is made up of bitumen, after a certain degree centigrade, it starts melting. It loses the cohesion in between the molecules over there, right? So that causes the physical damage of the road, right? And in winter, there will be, so once there is some small puddle kind of thing, the sorry, in rainy season water will be accumulated there, and it will gradually increase to a larger size, right? Next, let's go through some of the case studies. In 1995, we have one so the Chicago heat wave. So as the name suggests, where it happened,
yes,
Chicago, sir.
Chicago, USA, right? So all approximately 60 people have died due to that. In 2006, the North American heat wave that caused power outages, leaving thousands of people without electricity. And in 2003, there was an European heat wave which led to widespread forest and significant economic damage as well. Right, now, there are some more few examples. In June 2023, we had one. A severe heat wave struck the Western Europe, causing temperatures to soar above 40 degrees centigrade, and several countries like France, Spain, Italy, they experienced record-breaking heat. Even now, this summer also, there was a record-breaking heat in India as well, right? In July 2002, heat engulfed the northwestern United States. Right, so these I have collected these data from the global event. Right, in 2021, in Australia, it experienced a prolonged heat wave. Right, many regions of the country recorded exceeding temperatures of 45 degrees centigrade, right? Now we all know that Australia, okay, whether Australia is a country or it is a continent. Australia is a country or a continent?
country.
Continent.
It's a continent, right? Okay. And we all know that majority of the Australia is not habitated by people. It is habitated by wildlife and forest, right? And some portion of Australia is habitated, right? So people are living in that one. So the heat wave, these exacerbated the ongoing bushfires crisis, and they'll lead to disruptions as well, economic disruptions as well. Now let's understand the next topic. Another 2 minutes I will take. Right, let's understand what are these cold waves. So these are basically, so it happens due to the unusual drop in weather over a short period of time, right? And just like the heat waves, the cold wave is related to the usual weather area, and if the cold waves prolong, then there will be heavy snowfall will be there, right? So let's keep it till here. We'll cover in the next class, that is the what are the hazards that are there with the cold waves in the next class, right? So you have 5 minutes of time. You can give your attendance.